What's up, guys? Welcome to Friday Night Stock Talk. We're going to be talking about how I find my trades. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Welcome, traders. So, simple topic tonight, right? Just finding trades. It's not hard, right? I mean, anybody can pull up a chart and trade it, right? You just pull it up. Oh, yeah, looks like it's going up. All right, I'll jump in. Everyone else is buying it, so I should buy it. Everyone else is selling. Look at this, it's going down. Well, maybe I'll just jump in and sell with them. Take a short position. What's that about? So, as you all know, I'm joking. If you know me by now, but we're gonna just take a quick little video here. Not too quick. See how long it takes, but basically, I'm gonna start with today's trades. Iova was at the start, and I'm just gonna, at first, I'll kind of just give you an overall view of what my other screen looks like. And this is I have 4 monitors set up. I'll turn myself on here. I have 4 monitors set up. I got 2 up top, 2 down. It's a quad setup, basically in a big square. And my top right monitor is my scanners. So throughout the day, I'll be looking at this scan right here, which is the one that gives us these big moves that are going up, and I'm looking for them to reverse. So during the day, and I actually pulled up, let's see, here it is. So I pulled this up, and I'm going to have to keep switching back and forth, so bear with me here. My video from earlier. So if we go back to the Iova trade, you'll notice down here on the scanner that I run with it. This is after I'm already in the trade. Let me see if I go back a little bit further. I had already had it up at this point. Now, let me give you some other insight too real quick. One of the main reasons I hitting all the wrong buttons. So I need one of them stream decks like GDT has. But so the bear scam watch list, this guy right here, if you notice, the number 1 candidate today was Iova. So the bear scam watch list, it's basically taking all the data from the day before, and it's kind of calculating that it's probably due for a reversal to the downside. So when you look at Iova on the chart and you scroll out and you look at the day that it had yesterday, it had that big move up in the morning, that huge move down, which would have been pretty sweet to get in. Totally missed all of that. But then she kind of steadily climbed back up. And if you scroll back even further, you can see the kind of day that she had, or this is pre-market. Let me see if I can go back a little bit more. So you'll see that she had the big gap up, and she's still up there. So basically they're saying this is a prime candidate looking at the daily, looking for this big, kind of move down. And I would suspect on Monday this is still going to be on the bear scam watch list. I'm not even looking at the right screen. God, I suck at this. So this is what I was looking at real quick. The big gap up, pretty sideways. She was actually on the bear scam watch list. Or no, she wasn't on there yesterday. But the big gap up, and then so it took this into account, and it's basically saying, okay, we're probably due for this reversal. If you look at the daily down here, we have that big gap from $13 all the way up here to $14.21. So it's basically saying we're going to probably look to reverse and start to maybe try to fill that gap. So back to the scanners real quick. That's where my idea had originated. So if we bring back up this guy, once you're intraday, now that you've kind of had your, from the scanners tell you, hey, this is probably one to look for to the downside, what you do is you look for that pop at the open, seeing what she's going to do. With the odds are that, she's pretty extended. So if you can get an extended move within an extended move, the odds are it's going to work in your favor. So that is when the intraday plus I3 scan comes into play. And this is totally not trying to, be about the scanners, but it is, because that's the whole point of the subject, is how I find my trades, and the scanners are how I find my trades. So if you look at IOVA you'll see it in the scan here. The higher price stocks tend to not to always hit the higher numbers, but they will get up into the 20s. I'm trying not to keep scrolling past it, but I was trying to see if I could get it at a higher number. I mean, right there it's at 18. And it was right at the bell. And if you remember, this is when I had gotten up and actually missed my ad in this. But same thing with VNet. As you can see, VNet was at the top of the scanner. It was actually much higher than this when I had pulled it up. It was putting in higher numbers, as you can see as I scroll back. I think that actually hit up near the 30s. And the whole point of these scanners is really just to get you to pull up the chart. Hey, what's up? I was going to say, hey, what's up the startup? But that kind of sounded weird in my head, so I kind of stopped myself. I was using SureTrader. This is actually CMEG now, Capital Markets Elite Group. Just to answer your question real quick. Yeah, it late as in where you're at, or I'm late, because yes, I was a little bit late. I was finishing up a show with my wife. We were actually watching Billions. We started watching it from the very beginning, probably about 3 weeks ago, and we're already halfway through the third season. So it's a pretty awesome show, very stock market related. But as you can see, VNet was up here. And like I was saying, the whole point of the scanners is for you to get the chart up. Yeah, I just got a text from my wife that I just woke one of the kids up, so I'll try to be a little bit more quiet. But IRWD was another one. As you can see, it's kind of down there on the scanners, but I had already had it up at this point. Let's see. There we go. She's kind of moving up a little bit. This was a little bit later in the day too, so as you can see, we start losing a lot of the momentum in the market. And obviously you can see the volume wasn't necessarily all there, but if you look at the just super extension on this stock, I mean, it was way extended. And if she would have kept, and I think I said in my video, if she would have kept kind of stair climbing like she was here, definitely wouldn't have been looking to get in this trade. But these 4 big green candles look nothing like this. So this was an overextension to me. Plus she was at that whole dollar resistance, and that's what got us in the trade. So what it comes down to, as you can see, the intensity still there, 11.4. But what it comes down to, it is the scanners. These scanners on a daily basis. Let me pull up the... There it is. My little light here in front of me prevented, I can't see like the bottom left of my one screen. So if we look at tools, yep, top alerts. So if we pull this over, and this is just from today, just to kind of show you guys. So BOSC. So let's pull up our chart. So it's saying BOSC at 12:59, which I'm assuming is 9:59. Yeah. So this was, if you guys don't know, this was a chat room pump. It's pretty verified on YouTube if you want to go find it earlier today from one of the YouTube gurus. But as you can see, we were alerted, and it was alerted at 3:49 at 12:59:38. So if we go to the 1 minute to be a little bit more exact here, that would be on this, no, 59. That would be this candle. So it was after the halt. And what the scanners take into account a lot of the times are the volume. Oops, I want to move that. Is it better in your opinion? I just meant I was a little late getting to the... Oh, that's all cool. I just finished the newest episode. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to catching up so that we can talk about it with others. Shirley, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. And yes, CMEG is better. And I will go a little bit more in depth with that. Just let me finish my thought process real quick with this. But as you can see with BO, if I click that, oh my God, if I do it one more time. Jonathan, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Huge supporter of the channel. Been there since the beginning. Jonathan, he's my hero. Unfortunately, he doesn't really trade equities too much anymore, not that I know of. But if you have any questions about crypto, he will be able to answer them. So ask Jonathan about your crypto questions if you have any. So right here on this candle, it alerted us at $3.49, and it does take volume into consideration. It does not. There will be some days where a lot of the lower float stocks that are big movers on the day, we won't actually get alerted to those, and the reason of that is because their daily volume is usually really low. So basically, it's a liquidity issue. Say you're trading with even like 10,000 shares and you were to get in somewhere in the middle of this thing and you kind of wait it out to the end of the day. Well, look at what this was trading at the end of the day. It was trading 200 shares a minute, you know. What is this here? It's not even, I can't even like really click it. 1,000, 3,100. Like, so basically what I'm getting at is if you have a large position and you kind of get caught in the trade, that next day, this is probably going to be even lower because no one's even looking at this tomorrow. So you're going to have a hard time basically getting out of your position without making, you know, a big move in the price. So the scanner takes that into account. So obviously if this came up on the scanner, it knows that at least the relative volume wasn't, you know, like super crazy, where if you look, I'm trying to, so on a given day, you know, here was 111,000. You know, when you come over here, it's about 151. So it's not horrible, but obviously when you get a day like this, it was because, you know, there was a pump. But anyways, it was at 349, which was near the middle-ish, towards the top of this candle. But as you can see, she kind of hung out up here, you know, for probably it wasn't that much. I'm sure the spread wasn't too great either. But the whole point of these scanners is to get you to pull the chart up. It's not to tell you that you should take this trade. It's to get you to pull the chart up, and that's step one. So step one for me is I could sit down at my computer at 9:29 and just wait for this I3 scan to tell me what to pull up. And I will pull it up, and then rule number 2 for me is this little sticky note that I have here. So look left on the daily and check the float. So when you pull up BOSC here, you would look left and you would see a big resistance here. So if you draw a resistance, I mean, you can even have one here. It looks like it hit this twice. And then you could draw another one right here. So safe to say, when she made this 50 break, I could take a starter position in here, probably risking, you know, off of this $4 area. So I could look to add, what I would do in this case is I would look to take a position on the 350 pop. And if she continues, I would hope it would obviously still continue to be nice and fast, because the faster the move, the weaker the trend. And I would look to add around that $4 mark. So I would look to put my first add in that around that $4 mark, and look for that to retrace to get rid of those shares, and look for that to continue back down. Or if she wants to keep going, we'll look to add over $4 at that point. And at that point, you're kind of feeling it out, debating on what you want to do. I would let it make a new high over $4, and I would try to add there and look to get out of those shares, and then use that as a stop. I would look to use that if it decided to run even further than the new high that it set over for, based off the daily, because that's when you're kind of getting into dangerous territory, because, you know, looking left really quick, you don't really see too much above that area, so that's when it can get dangerous. But as you can see in this instance, that first entry would have been golden, because it was a pump and dump and it was treated as such. So that's really all there is for me to get into a trade. Looking at Iova real quick, I told you this was kind of a different trade for me. Usually I'm looking for it to break high a day and a previous high. Like I would have, this was a little different because I had looked and saw how extended it was. She didn't really want to make a move, and she was actually coming down from after hours and pre-market. Was really looking for this thing to just kind of fall over and probably miss the trade because I don't trade those. I don't try to jump into the FOMO to the downside. I always watch these just in case we do get these pops right out of the gate, because most of the times they go right into a pretty key resistance area. And I was actually looking to add into this. I just didn't think it was going to happen as quick as it did when I got it for my chair. And I missed my ad there. But then sure enough, we got that nice move down. And I was actually looking for this to come down and kind of touch down here, but it kind of just felt weird. And once she got below 15, I just told myself, since I didn't get my ad up here, that if she went back above 15, I was just going to go ahead and get out. I actually put a hard stop in here. And a little bit of a fake out there, got stopped out, and she came down and, tried to get down here, but never really did. So, but again, it was the same thing. Came up on the scanners, look left, knew we had the big resistance from yesterday. Plus there was just a ton, tons of resistance here in general. Plus it just was a move that felt comfortable getting into for the downside anyway. And obviously when we scroll out, this would have probably been, our last ad would have been over 16. If a high was set here, it would have hopefully come back down, and we would have been looking to stop out if it went over 16. So we're really getting into that. I don't necessarily want to call out the person, but I'll just say it's literally the biggest YouTube guru that you can find. So you should be able to connect the dots there. And I know because you can just watch his recap video from today and he basically shows you. I ended up making $70 on OKTL today. Could only get 120 shares, but that's a good win for me. That's awesome. Yeah, $70, especially when you're starting. And I actually was telling my buddy earlier, I know it's not OK. What is the stock? OK, or is it OTKO? OT? No, I had it up earlier. Okay. OTLK, there it is. I totally missed looking. I had pulled this up because it was on the gap scanner, and I saw it was running, and I had no shares to short. So obviously, I'm not going to jump in on the long side for FOMO, but I would have right around in this area, probably looking like right when. And this is an old play of mine, where when she comes up and she kind of consolidates, if she decides she's not going to kind of give you like that wedge and come to the downside, once she kind of breaks like a key level that you can kind of set in here, which, what is going on? That's not what I hit. I don't know why I don't even know what those are. Let me X out of them. Okay. So you can kind of set like a key level in here, and once she breaks above that, the odds are it's going to probably squeeze, and as you can see, it did. And basically you're kind of seeing what she does at high day. That's why you want your entry, as low as you can, because if you try to get in for the high day break, she almost always kind of gives you this little fake out, and a lot of people will get faked out, and they'll buy for the high day break, and then they'll sell out because they think she's going to fall. And that's why it's key to kind of find that area where you can get in before that. So when she does make this pullback, you're still in the green, seeing if she's going to continue to make this move. And if you look on the daily, look at this nice gap. And I didn't notice it. I remember pulling it up, and I just saw that I didn't have shorts, and I think I was just mad at myself. Or not mad, but I was just upset that I couldn't trade it on the short side. But this was a little bit of a lower float too, I think. OTLK. Yeah, this is only a 3.5 million float, so I probably wouldn't have traded it anyways, but it's one of those things where a lot of people look at these gaps to get filled, and I mean, she definitely tried. So that was definitely a strong long play. 182 and got out at 240. Awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. And to be honest, taking a lower share size, it really kind of gives you, a sense of actually being able to trade without, being too scared. So when you are learning, I found that if there's something I want to try, just take smaller share size, because you don't necessarily let the P&L kind of dictate you. If you watch the P&L, you're like, oh, okay. Like when it's going against you, you're like, if you set a stop or a support level that you're looking for to hold, some people will get into trades and they have a support level they're looking for the stock to hold, and they end up getting out before that support level even comes into play, because they're, in their head, they're thinking, well, why wait till it gets there when I know it's going there? And then it never goes there. So it's definitely a mental thing, and emotions are by far one of the biggest things that we have to fight on a daily basis as a trader. So to answer the CMEG question real quick, basically what it came down to with CMEG was my wallet. SureTrader versus CMEG, just to kind of go back and forth. I'm actually going to make a video about CMEG not too long, probably, no, not tomorrow. Not sure when. It's going to be soon though, because I'm actually trying to work out with an affiliation type thing with them so that I can help you guys out. Obviously it would help me out too if you guys sign up through me, but it's more so to make sure that when people do come to me and ask me what broker I'm using, that I can be able to tell them and help them out at the same time. So it will help, trust me. And usually affiliations help out the person on your end versus the person, it's usually a small, monetary value for the person that's affiliated versus the discount that you get. Because let's just say SureTrader versus CMEG. At SureTrader, I was paying $5 per ticket. So on a day like today, let's pull up this. So I had 6 tickets. So on SureTrader, that would be 6 times 5. It's $30. That's basically cut in half at CMEG, which is $17.70. I'm paying $2.95 a trade. So over the course of now, for SureTrader, I was only paying $50 a month. I'm not sure why my screen just went. There it goes. I was paying $50 a month for the platform. With CMEG, I believe I'm paying $125. I'm not sure. I haven't got my first month's bill, and I'm not positive that they're going to bill me correctly, because I've been having an issue with telling them that I don't want level 2, and they apparently offer it on their website to where you can have level 2 or not, and I do have it right now, but I don't use it. So trying to get that taken off, but it should be no more than $125. So there's that $75 difference. So real quick, just to pull out the calculator, if you take 75 and you divide that by $2 per ticket that I'm saving, it would take me 37 and a half tickets to, just get to an even playing field between the two brokers. So I'm pulling this up real quick. Just make sure I don't get any personal information in there. It does have my, or let me see if I can, just for my sake, can I crop this out? Wonder if I can do it this way. Yeah, that should, well, let me do it over here and then I'll pull it down. Let me get the full, I'm just trying to show you how many tickets, like I have. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's actually perfect. So I could probably do the, yep, okay, cool. So these are just the trades. So if you come down here, I've had 61 tickets already. So if we pull up our trusty calculator again, 61, and remember we only needed 37 and a half. So we'll do 61 times 2. So that's $122 versus, and we, like I said, we only need to make up $75. So once we get past that 37 and a half ticket mark every month, and we're not even halfway through the month, it basically is putting money in your pocket just from the commissions alone. And what I've noticed too is that with the commissions only being $2.95 a ticket, it actually allows me to not worry about the commissions as much. Like there was so many trades at SureTrader where I'm like, I might not, make a big win on this. Like the range on this stock isn't that great, so I might be getting in only to, scalp 5-6 cents, and the commissions are going to eat me alive. Like my Twitter trade back in the day, and it also didn't allow me to want to take trades where I was only taking like 50 or 100 shares, because I'm paying $5 for 50 to 100 shares. That's ridiculous. Like when you're paying $5 for 50 shares, you're paying, what is that? 10 cents a share? That's horrible. So I wasn't for that. And I mean, to me, it was a no-brainer. As far as other things go, I feel like everything else is the same. I'm still using the DOS platform. I literally from SureTrader had the saved file, just hit open and everything worked. The only thing I had to change was all my hotkeys to get the new account number, and we were good there. As far as the only one thing I have a gripe about with CMEG, obviously every broker comes with its pros and its cons, has been their customer service so far. They don't have a live chat like SureTrader does, and SureTrader with their live chat, man, is awesome. I mean, they were always quick. If I wanted to be in a live chat, I was usually within a live chat in a minute, like literally a minute, and asking my question, and they would usually always have an answer. Or they would always have I had never ran into a moment where they didn't have an answer. I had one order problem with them, and they did compensate me for it. I was a little mad because I would have made a lot more than they compensated me, but the fact that they even compensated me for it was, nice of them. They didn't have to, they could have just chalked it up as a software error and been done with it. But, they want to keep your business, obviously, because they want your commissions. And they know that they're getting away with a little bit of highway robbery with the $5 per ticket. It's a lot. But have you noticed the SureTrader and CMEG platforms and websites look like? Yeah. I heard that there was some speculation that they might be owned by the same person, but I'm pretty sure they're not. Because I feel like the customer service would be a lot different if it was. I feel like maybe they took the same model per se, but I don't think they're ran by the same person, because I feel like the live chat would be such a huge thing. The customer service would be a lot better than it is at CMEG, because they're very slow at responding to emails, and they don't have the live chat feature. So that's the only frustrating part I've found from CMEG so far. But hopefully they'll resolve that issue. They still are a little bit more on the new side than SureTrader is. SureTrader's been around for a very long time, so they've had time to kind of develop and come into their own. So hopefully that answers your question. If you have any other questions about that, feel free to ask any specific questions. I'm happy to answer it. Like I said, I'm going to do a video on CMEG here shortly, and hopefully that'll answer any other questions you might have. And hopefully by then, maybe I'll have something worked out with them. The margin, do you really get 4-1 and 6-1? And that actually brings up another good point of why CMEG is a little bit better than SureTrader. I believe, actually, I can probably pull it up real quick. Might make it easier. Nope, don't want to do that. Nope, don't want that either. I am typing in something wrong. Hold on one second. Oh, let's see. I was going to their support page and not the main page. There we go. So if we go to, just have their actual website up. Pricing, active account, trade fees. Or no, not trade fees. We want the margin. Goes that right here. Pricing, or I guess maybe it wouldn't be under the pricing. Oh, or yeah, here it is, margin policy. So for me right now, I'm obviously under this mark, but at all times on any stock, if you have less than $500 in your account, you get 1-to-1. If you have between 500 and 24.99 in your account on all stocks, you get 4-to-1. Now, keep in mind, this is not true what I'm saying because somewhere down in here, I believe it's under $4, or is it a maintenance requirement? Stock value from $2. I don't remember. I thought it was $3, or maybe it's $4. There's maybe it's $2 because they all say 100%. Or they say, yeah, long stocks, marginable stock value. I'll have to read into that a little bit more, but I know at some point it's 1-to-1 based on the actual stock price. I thought it was $3, but maybe it's $2, where you have to use 1-to-1 if it's under that price. But usually, depending on your share size that you take, that shouldn't be an issue because obviously it costs a lot less. But if you have over the $2,500 in your account, you would get 6-to-1. So whether it's $2, $3, $4, or $5, I forget what it is. I'll have to look into it real quick. I'm not exactly sure, and I don't want to give you wrong information. But you always have these numbers. So no matter what, these are the numbers. So we'll just use a $6 stock and up. If you have $2,500, you always get 6-to-1. If you have between 500 and 24.99, you always get 4-to-1, and under 500, it's just 1-to-1. So that is a certainty. Whereas with SureTrader, they had a thing where you could come up here, go to trade. I think it was under, there was another option in here, and it would bring up a thingamajigger, a window. And you could also check their internal message. Every day they would send out a new message with what stocks were restricted, because SureTrader would restrict stocks. So if there's a low float stock or just a big mover, usually they're going to restrict it to 1-to-1, 2-to-1, sometimes even 3-to-1. And so a lot of times that 6-to-1 margin that you think you have is not actually 6-to-1 because they decide that, okay, this thing's moving, it's a little too volatile, we're going to go ahead and restrict it. And CMEG doesn't do that at all. So that's definitely one of the big things between the two. So let's get back on topic just for a sec. But again, yeah, if you have any more questions about that too, that's fine. Go ahead and ask them. That's kind of the whole reason behind this, so feel free. But yeah, let me just go back to the scanners real quick. So you can check the float with the scanners too, as you can see right here. Obviously, the float is going to differ for every website that you check, and the main reason for that is because it's really just a guesstimate, because you don't know how many people are holding the stock at any given time. And the float, as we all know, if you've watched maybe my previous video on float itself, you'll know that there's the shares outstanding, which are the shares that are available to the public, and then there's restricted shares and all that, and good stuff like that, where that's like your insiders, as well as all the people that have I cannot think straight, but it's basically all the restricted shares for the private, not private investments. I cannot speak. Let me just pull up the chart. Where is it? Where are you? Maybe I deleted it by accident. Or if it's on my desktop. Yep, there it is. So yeah, like obviously when an IPO is there, you have your shares that are issued. So then you have your shares outstanding, and then you have your restricted shares. And obviously the treasury is part of the overall shares that are outstanding. So basically when you're left with, what you are left with is the float. So within and that's why you'll see the float is usually, you can go look up on SEC's website at who the institutions, I kept saying inside, but institutions, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, well, hedge funds, yeah, them too. But yeah, I guess they would technically be institutionals. institutions. But we don't know how many shares that they're holding at any given time. So this may say on IOVA that, oh, and I didn't have that chart up when, dang it. I was explaining something and I didn't actually even have it up. Here, let me, where? Going crazy. Going crazy. Oh, that's right. It was on my desktop. So I was looking at this real quick. Basically, I had this in a previous video. I had made this real quick, just showing you how the shares work. So shares issued when the IPO opens, they'll take out the restricted shares as well as everything that's in the treasury from the shares that are outstanding, and that's what you're left with. So basically the float is what's left over for the public to be able to be, traded on a daily basis. But within that float, we don't know how many people are, investors holding, long term, and so forth. So back to this. So, but I was just getting at, and throughout the day, obviously I always keep an eye on the SPY. I have that up here. One of my main problems trading was always doing it, I have this up here, do it scared, was pressing the button, and I could, buying power restriction. For what, Jonathan? But I would always have problems hitting the button. So this is my phrase that has really helped me. I'll be sitting here looking at a stock and I'm like, this is going to do this. Like I've seen this pattern happen so many times. It's going to do this. And I just watch it do it. And I wasn't in the trade, and it was very frustrating. So it took me a lot. And again, SureTrader's $5 a ticket was part of the reasoning. It was hard for me to hit that button a lot because of that. But after, watching these trades happen over and over again within the, Team ISW room and on YouTube, and just watching the guys do it day in and day out, I was really like, you start building a confidence for the system that they've kind of put in place, but just because they have and everyone may be using these same scanners, but everyone has a different strategy and plan and risk and all the different variables that go into trading. Everyone has different emotions. So say where I would get in up top here and I see that she kind of fails and I didn't really get out, and I'll look at this point after my MTSI trade, I would be looking to cut right here when she goes high a day. I would make sure it's not a fake out, and then so you'll probably see my cut candle up here. Why is because I had the line. So I would probably look to cut here instead, where some others, they're embracing this, and so they got a nice first, entry, and they're going to be looking to add in, looking for the move to come back down as they're averaging up. And then there's some people, where I let's say I got in up here, or let's say I got in somewhere in here, and then I got another add in here. Instead of holding these top shares looking for the big move down for all of them, I'll look to get rid of those shares somewhere up here to eliminate some risk in case she wants to keep going. And that would be my way of battling the stock a little bit, looking for the overextension to come back down. Whereas some people, they'll add, up, looking for this thing to make a big move down for all of their shares. And, like I said, all of those strategies in this case would have worked. So however you decide to trade based off of the idea that the scanner gives you, that's up to you. And that's for you to figure out how you want to do it. And obviously it does find these in reverse. There was a good one today in PTN, and I actually almost took this. Was it? Oh yeah, I gotta scroll over. I was like, where is it? So PTN, just out of nowhere, she started kind of coming down, and then poof, look at all this volume that came in. She decided to just dump off, just hitting stop losses, and then, people just getting out of fear. And I'm going to bring up something straight from the ISW website just because it's something that is just so powerful. When if you look at this chart and you kind of start seeing this, like right there is this anxiety phase. You know, people are like, uh-oh, you know, what's going on? And then it starts to keep going and people are like, ah, nah, this isn't happening. It's going to stop here. And then, uh-oh, desperation. So then you get people starting to sell out because they're like, okay, this isn't good. And then once she gets down there at panic, you're like, crap. Like all those people that, you know, their averages are up here, they're panicking because now they're way down here. And look, it couldn't be more true. Most traders are selling here because it's making a huge move down and they don't know what to do. So that's the 90%. What you're seeing here is the 90% selling their shares. The 10% are the people that are buying their shares right in here. And they're looking for this thing to do exactly what it did. I mean, it wasn't, you know, a huge, like if you just took this and went down to here, that's not a huge move. But look at what happened in between. And that's where money is made. This is where money is lost for the 90%, and the 10% are scooping up their fear, you know, buy fear, sell euphoria. Basically, my strategy is selling euphoria, but it works just the opposite way. This was going off on the scanner. Do I have my scanners up? Son of a... Very frustrating. We'll go over that real quick again. But as you can see here in PTN, she did the same thing, but in reverse. So right here where it's coming down, and I'll even bring this back up. It was coming down. This is the anxiety part, and I'm sorry about that. You had to listen to me basically talk and not know what I was talking about. So the anxiety is when it starts to come down, and then it keeps going. And then here, I can actually probably put this side by side. So right here is the anxiety. Then you get the denial and fear somewhere in here, and then the desperation, and then you get a decent little bounce here, and people are like, oh, okay, this is our desperation, like it's going to go back up. And then you start getting the panic when she starts getting below that area, and that's when everyone's selling. And then this is the 10%, like I was explaining. This is where that 10% are buying, and they're just scooping up all that fear, and it's, what did it do? Comes right back up. And what I was saying is, from here to here is not a big move, but you have the in-between, which is what we got here. And this is the 90%. And this is where the 10% are buying all of the 90%'s fear. And that's why they're making money. And that's why they're losing money. It's really that simple. And when you go back to something like VNet, for instance, it's basically, obviously this one didn't play out as great, but it still did play out where, you know, you get the euphoric move. People are FOMOing into the trade. It's the same thing, just in the opposite way. And you know, this is the 90%, you know, that a lot of the bad 90%ers, they're buying up in here. They're like, this thing's going crazy. It's going to the moon. And sure enough, you know, the unlucky ones that are still buying up here, they're the ones that really kind of get crapshooted, because that never comes, it never even tries to go back up there. And you're just looking to really get that big move back down. I mean, just Iova was a good one this morning. Some people were thinking from, you know, if you scroll back, they're looking at this level up here at 1650. You know, there's people that are probably buying in here thinking that that's a possibility. So there's people that bought up here at 1570, and they're thinking, oh, it's going back up to 1650, you know, or I'm getting in early. But sure enough, they don't understand that a quick move, when they make these quick moves like this, it's a weak trend. So when the trend tends to reverse itself because of that, you get a lot of fear and panic, and that's what creates these big moves back down. And it's really, that's my trading system, you know, at least my outlook on it in, you know, a short 5-minute period. It is not still on the scanner screen. Is it? No, it's not. No, I'm looking at it up here. Or when did you say that? That was probably like 5 minutes ago. I am sorry about that, though. I do not want to saccalate. That's right? Saccalate? Punishers? I'll just call you Punishers. Welcome. I think that's the first time I've seen you say something. Um, but yeah, let me pull up my video from. I actually traded IOVA 2 days in a row. I just want to see if we can see it on the scanner. I mean, as you can see right here, ARQL, when I pulled that up this whole time, it's on the scanner. Look there. So how the scanner works, I'll just pull it down here. So you can go into the menu and you can make it play all these different sounds. Like there's even one that this cracks me up. Hopefully that's not like super loud, but basically it will turn the stock this bright yellow color when it gets over the amount that you set it at. So I have mine set to 20. You can lower it if you want more alerts. You can higher it if you only want like the extreme moves. But there is one thing about them where if it's a higher price stock, it's hard for the intensity scanner to kind of correlate the difference between the two, just the way the formula is written. So they, what B and GDT actually does it, just recommend making 2 of the same scanner, but then just setting 1 for 15 for the higher price stocks, and then 20 and above for, you know, the lower, like I'd say like under $20. But anything over $20, it's a little bit harder for them to hit that, you know, big level to kind of set it off at 20. So you would just kind of set a little bit, and then you can obviously set your min price, max price. I keep the $100 ones in there just because I just like to, as you know, I will paper trade some of the higher priced ones just to kind of keep, you know, the strategy going, because they do happen with the bigger price stocks, and more often than you think. There was, let me pull up some of the ones from today. Pull this back out of the way. But as you can see, what the whole point behind that was just to show you that, like on ARQL, so obviously I get rid of this in editing, but this thing's beeping in my ear. So when it starts beeping in my ear, I look straight to the scanner and I see what it is. So I would pull up ARQL, which you see I did here. And as you can see, just in the video, let's see, I don't remember if I pulled it up while actually in the video. Sorry, I can't see. So it looks like, yeah, it looks like maybe I do. Let's see. Oh no, this is the IOVA trade. We'll just let this go real quick. We'll see if it pops up down here while it's going. I'm not sure if it does. I didn't think I scrolled back that far, but I guess it did. Okay, so it cuts to it. So at 685, as you can see, it's alerting, or it actually isn't alerting yet, so let's let it go. I'm pretty sure it had alerted because I obviously am looking at the chart, but then it might have slowed down just for a quick second. But as you can see, it'll start to alert again. And plus, sometimes when it's slower like this and I only have a few up here on the scanner, I'll, you know, just pull up the top one just to kind of see what it's doing, just so I'm not looking at nothing. Because I am usually, as long as the kids are being good, I usually will actively be looking for, you know, the first hour. And as you can see, so she hits here. So at 694 is probably what the alert was. So even if you just got the alert, you would pull up the chart and you'll see, and based off of the whole dollar, you know, you'd be probably looking to get in here. And to me, the reason I got into this trade is what did I just say earlier? You know, you're looking for a quick move because a quick move is a weak trend. So in this case, I knew it was coming up to the whole dollar, and you know, whole dollar is used as resistance most of the time. So a quick move and the whole dollar being right there, I decided that I was going to take a, you know, basically a starter position, because if she decided to keep moving over 7 at this point, I wouldn't be upset about it, because it's still a really quick move that, you know, we would just be looking to get an add-in over 7 where we felt like the top was. But we obviously felt like there was a little bit of a top there, and we knew the whole dollar was there, so we took a starter. So now we either get our, you know, our trade in based off of what ends up happening, or like say she were to only come down to like 695, 694 and kind of go sideways and consolidate and then go over 7. Depending on how long it consolidates, like if it's just this one candle and then she goes, we're probably going to hold on to the position. But if she goes on for like 5-6 minutes and just kind of consolidates in this area and then decides to go, we're going to cut our position, because the odds are she was just kind of taking a breather before continuing. So we would look to get out and possibly, depending on how quick the move happens over 7, look to get back in. But because these aren't going to work every time, obviously. A key reminder of that was what was the trade the other day? TSC. Can't hit the enter button. No, it wasn't TSC. TCS maybe. Yep, TCS. So no, it wasn't TCS. Or was it? I gotta go back. Yes. Okay, it was TCS. So we actually, this was the first long trade we tried with the strategy, and we got in somewhere up here around 850. I think we were looking for the day before. We were looking for the day before to kind of hold, as far as, because it made the big gap up and she just dumped right out of the gate. And we were just kind of looking to get a starter here, looking for this kind of area to hold as support. But as you can see, she fell right through. And so we actually were adding, let me get back to the 2-minute here. So we took our first position around there, and then we added once right around here, and then our final add was under 8. It was like somewhere in here, or it was right here, because we actually ended up taking off the position in full right here, which was actually an accident, but turned out to be, a gift, because she decided to keep going. Because we thought we were taking off a third of our position, looking for this thing to just kind of slowly move back up towards VWAP. But as you can see, I mean, she never did. I mean, she never really got back above $8. I mean, she just dumped and just never gave us a bounce. And that bounce is usually what we're looking for, but we never got it. Well, that was through my headphones, so she couldn't hear that. But so not all of these will work, but the theory behind it, like I said, so this is what happened with TCS. The odds are that in most cases it's going to do like what PTN did. So if what? I'm going to scroll over. It's going to do this move where it's going to come down, and the odds are she's going to bounce back up. I think even was it the SPY? No, there was another. I forget what. There was one of the big Microsoft, MSFT. I was kind of watching this today, and look at the move this thing made to the upside. And now, granted, this is more of what I would call a stair stepper, because these green candles aren't very big. But look at every time that you do get the big green candles, like big green candle here, and look at the retrace. Big candles here, look at the retrace. Not so big, not so big, not so big, not so big. Big green candle, look at the retrace. Nothing big here, nothing really big here. And then at this point, this was really just and what was this, right at the $50? Yep. But this was really just, it was overextended, that's why I have VWAP on here. It just shows you, look how extended away she was. So at some point, she's probably going to come home, whether VWAP slowly comes up and they kind of meet, up here, or at some point, that's why these stair steppers, it's hard to get into, because you never really can feel the top. They just kind of stair step their way up. But anytime you get these big moves, it just goes to show you that the bigger the candle, the weaker the trend, So the quicker the move, the bigger the trend. Options, I don't know if you're joking, but no, I do not trade options. It's kind of a running joke between some of us. Everyone always asks if we trade options. Surprisingly, GDT used to be in on that joke, but now he actually does trade options. So I do not. The only reason I even pulled up the Microsoft chart today was because I have a friend that actually had shorted Microsoft today. It was around 129.80, I think it was, somewhere in here. And, I told him he's catching the back end of the move, and, good for him. If it continues down, which obviously it did, but I wasn't expecting it to just kind of go straight down like this, but hey, good trade. I think he ended up getting out around 128.80, because that was his profit target. He wanted a point out of it, and I think he got it at some point, or maybe he took it and never actually got there, not until later. So I know he took it somewhere in here for a decent profit. I mean, it wasn't a lot of shares, obviously, because he's not balling like that. But yeah, I mean, sometimes too, I'll have 3 charts up. Like this is my main screen, and then on my second screen, I'll have other charts up. And instead of switching back from each the scanner's screen to that, so I don't make that mishap again, because I apparently suck at it. Most mornings I'll literally just check out the gap up watch list. I have the gap down watch list up here, but I don't ever use it because it's just not part of my strategy, and I really don't see a use for it. But the bear scan watch list is a different story. The bear scan watch list is literally taking those stocks that are really up and extended, and kind of looking for that reversal. So if we look at, let's just take a look at some of them that were off of there. I'll pull this down here. So obviously we know what Iova was. We had looked at that a couple times. ADVM. And obviously, guys, this is not something that is going to be 100% right. You have to kind of put your own due diligence into this. So as you can see, it was looking for this to be kind of a hangover, but she popped. So you definitely could have got in. I actually do think some of the guys got in this one as it was running. And as you can see, she decided to not cooperate. She kind of went sideways before she finally kind of came back down later in the day, right around noon. And then right after that, she kind of built up and she decided to run up. So I will guarantee you on Monday that this will be on the bear scan watch list, and it might even be near the top. Kiwi was another one. I'm pretty sure this one worked out. Yeah. So as you can see, the big move from the day before, and she kind of dies off throughout after hours and pre-market, and that's the definition of a hangover right there. Good move up the day before, dies off in after hours and pre-market, and then falls off at market open. So I mean, that couldn't be the more of the definition of a hangover. But as you can see, look at what she did. She actually made a nice retracement. I mean, she not only got it all back, but she went almost right to high day from yesterday. So like I said, this was definitely on the minus I3 scan. So if you were buying the fear, I mean, and you could hold on, it's pretty good chunk. Even if you got somewhere in here around 15, I mean, still got a whole point out of it if you held on. Let's check the next one, KEM. And these are everyday guys. I mean, these are here available every day. Same thing. Look, big move up, kind of finishes near high day, dies off, and I guess this is pretty crappy. I can't tell. Let's see. Let's zoom in. So it looks like this was. Oh, okay. So this was after hours, right? Oh no. So there really wasn't any trading after hours, and then pre-market was just kind of coming down, and then sure enough, she gave you a little bit of a pop at the bell, and then she died off. And look at what she did the rest of the day. CMEG is definitely not the scanners. These are actually through Intensity Stock Watch. They're totally separate. Not gonna compare them to Trade Ideas because they're nothing like them, but like just how Trade Ideas is a separate company. So our Intensity Stock Watch. I believe I have a link maybe in the description of this. Honestly not sure if I ever put one. Let's see. If you want to check it out, I'm not trying to sell you. But if you do have any questions about it, obviously feel free to ask. I'm basically just showing you how I find my trades every day. So that's what this is for first and foremost. Okay, I do. So yeah, if you come down here in the description and click on this, it'll take you to the page, and it'll kind of just give you an introduction. And then if you want to come down here and just do your due diligence and kind of read up on it, if you have any further questions about it, you can ask me. I'm not sure what you're saying yes to. If it comes with the scanners, not sure. I mean, it does, I believe, have like a tops list and stuff like that, but it's not like this bear scan watch list that you're seeing and stuff like that. This is totally separate. So that was Chem. We'll just do a couple more. ELTK. Same thing. As you can see, she had a big move up. Obviously, this one's a little bit lower, but she actually came back down yesterday. But as you can see, she did kind of hang over. Wasn't a huge move, and it was on very light volume. Oh, gotcha. Thank you, Punishers. Yes, it is in the comments. Thank you. Yeah, TD Ameritrade, Thinkorswim. Sorry, I don't know why I'm like losing my voice. If you look at the Thinkorswim scanners, they do kind of get the job done. To me, Thinkorswim is just a little bit slower, and they're not really going to kind of show you all of this. Like, this is doing all the thinking for you. So you could, like I said, you could show up, sit down at your computer at 9:15, 9:20, and just pull these scanners up, and it's going to give you the ideas. And again, you should never use scanners and say, okay, this is the top thing on the Bearscan watch list. Like, I need to just get in. Like, no, that's not how it works. You have to have your own strategy, your own plan, your own risk management. You have to have your emotional state of mind. Like, there's so many other things that go into trading. But to me, these scanners really kind of take one of the hardest parts of trading out of question, like which is finding the actual trades, finding the charts to pull up at the right times. So, there's people that love charting. They love doing the technicals. They love sitting at their computers for hours upon hours the night before, researching all these charts and finding these setups where these scanners just do it for you. It's amazing. They very much so pay for themselves. Right, and that's why I have the gap up watch list as well, just to kind of get the charts up. And I've found recently, like today, what was the one? There was one stock. Maybe it wasn't today. Maybe it was yesterday, where there was only one stock that was even remotely worth looking at on the gap up watch list, and it just died at the bell with no volume. So having the gap up list sometimes will get the charts up, but a lot of the times it doesn't actually show you the trade, the charts that you probably should be trading on the day. And that's the other thing too about this strategy, is it doesn't get you, I guess you could say, married to any stocks, where if your, way of bringing up charts in the morning is just the Thinkorswim, gap up, stocks, or the scan, you might get married to the couple stocks that you found that morning because you don't necessarily know. I'm not saying you don't, but I'm just saying anybody might not have another way throughout the day to find the new stocks that are running. And that's, a problem, because then you're trying to force yourself into trades, on those stocks that you have pulled up just because you haven't pulled up from, the scans that you do have. And, to me, that is one of the biggest problems with a lot of beginner traders, is they're just not trading the right stocks, that they're not trading the right setups. They're trading C plus setups, when if you had something like the scanners, and I swear it sounds like I'm selling these, but it's just the truth. Like, if you watch my channel and you know me, I'm just telling you the truth, and it's going to come out this way because the scanners do that. I'm not selling it. I'm just telling you the truth. They literally just make it easy, as easy as it can be. The scanners never lie. They're just there to give you the ideas, and they always do. So that last VTVT wasn't a great one. And that's the other thing too, just like anything else, there's going to be times where, it might pull up something, you're just like, huh? Like, that didn't make sense. But ARQL, another one, made a good move up. We actually had played this, and sure enough, she gapped up a little bit in the after hours and then kind of fell off in the pre-market, and then bloop, dumped right out. So that'll be the last one I show. Oh, Mr. Ticks. MRTX was one of the first stocks that I ever discovered. And this is back in probably August of last year, maybe even before that, where she was down in the $30 range. And I remember pulling it up because it came up on something. And I was like, wow, look at the range on this thing. And I mean, it must have been like 6 points. But the volume on it wasn't that great. Obviously here it was, but I remember watching it on some of the days where the volume wasn't that great, and it was moving in like, it had a 20-30 cent spread at all times, but it would move like 4 to 6 points every day. And I'm like, holy crap. And just to see where it is now, I was like, crap, what if I bought like, 100 shares way back here? But obviously that's in hindsight, and I would never do that. But also watch that guru you mentioned, Morning Watch List, but I don't follow his trades. I pick my own because my method isn't like his exactly. We all started watching him. I did. It's not who I was watching originally when I started, but he's the one that really got me into like getting excited to trade on a daily basis. And to be honest, when I first went live, I was using his strategy, and I found out really quickly that it doesn't work. It doesn't work without the help, if that makes sense. Yes, yeah, a point is equivalent to $1. I just call it a point. And yes, that guru is the one I was talking about earlier. I don't like to necessarily I'm not in the business of calling out people unless you're one guy that I've been commenting on his videos, but apparently I think he finally blocked me, so I don't think people see them anymore. And I'm sure he probably deletes them too. But there's a guy that photoshops a picture every day, and he just refuses to show you anything. No one's ever seen his face yet. He sells lifetime memberships that aren't really lifetime memberships, and I'm pretty sure that most of the comments on his YouTube videos are just him. Just saying, he's a fraud. I mean, again, I'm blunt, so I'm not going to name any names, but if anyone follows my activity on YouTube, they might be able to figure it out. And the guys in ISW obviously know who it is. So if they want to say it, I won't confirm nor deny. Let's see if there's anything else I can talk about how I find my trades. And yeah, I'm just looking at all my sticky notes. There's the strategy I've been working on. I was curious if it worked at all today. Let me check. I think VNet was one of them. It kind of. VNet was really, and that was the problem with today, is everything was so slow, like really slow. So IOVA actually kind of did it, and if you really want to look at it, a lot of people call it the bouncy ball, because it kind of is, comes up, ball bounces, and every time it gets lower. So usually this would happen relatively quickly, but obviously this wasn't a high volume move. Let's check something like AMD. Yeah, perfect. So I just know AMD gets a lot of volume every day. So this actually made a huge move up. And then sure enough, look how quick it was. So the odds are you could have gotten this, and then she comes down, makes her big retracement. And let's get into that a little bit too. So when I get into a position, I like to get into a position based off of it going over key levels, as well as the big extension. And then I'm looking for those whole dollar, half dollars usually. And then as she's there, I'll look for obviously there's a line there already because that's where it closed yesterday. But I'll look for these lines, and I'll look for them to come down and touch them. So if I get into a position, like say, it looks like I probably would have started the position here if I did, because you can see the retrace. So it probably would have felt like the top, and she decided to go against us, so we would have been looking to add, and we probably would have got out those top shares, somewhere up in here, and she decides to continue down. So usually if VWAP is under this line, I'll look for this line or right above it, and if VWAP comes up to it, I'll look for VWAP as my exit point. And most of my trades, you'll see that VWAP is usually where I end up getting out of most of my trades, just because it's a natural support. But in most cases, if VWAP does hold, like say VWAP held here, it'll bounce up, and in most cases, the volume starts to die down. You don't have as much, buyers stepping in to get that, high a day. run again, so you get this kind of sloppy seconds is what I've been calling it. But it's, you know, the bouncy ball. Ball comes up, comes down, bounces, 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 and then obviously this was them, you know, trying to run it again, which in most cases, this is kind of 50-50 land. Sometimes it'll go and it'll just keep going, and sometimes it'll do this. So these are the trades that to me you don't want to get in, but when you see them failing like this, the odds are it's going to make a even bigger move and kind of break through that support that it couldn't before, because like I said, it's kind of 50-50 land. But oh yeah, crap out of me. It kind of caught me off guard. I was like, what just went off? Oh, Jonathan, you waited, didn't you? What did it say? I'm not going to forget this time. It said don't spend something. Now I'm going to have to pull it up. Trying to think how to even check. I guess I could go to Streamlabs. Oh, Jonathan. Oh, right. I do have one thing to say, too. I should have said this earlier when everyone was actually here. Don't spend this all on Bitcoin. Did you, oh, I know you probably didn't, but Patrick put out a video today about Bitcoin. It was actually kind of funny. I wasn't a fan of him flexing with all the different camera views of where he is at the moment. Did he do one small account to 100K in 81 days and flopped on 2 others? Yes, that is the person I was talking about, Punishers. Do you only do shorts for the most part? I feel like it would be a little easier to make profit that way, but I can't short stocks at this point. Yes, I am definitely short biased, and it's basically because of human psychology. I could probably make a whole video on that, and maybe I will. That's actually not a bad idea. Of course. Yeah, it's all about the views for him at this point. I mean, he doesn't even really trade anymore. I mean, it's very rare that he even puts out trading videos. It's always about fishing and his new adventures. But yeah, I'm very short biased basically because of human psychology. And AMD is the wrong stock to talk about human psychology because it's probably 90% traded by algorithms. So, but it doesn't mean that price action still doesn't work. As you can see, the quick move means a weak trend, and we get that sloppy seconds. And usually on the sloppy seconds, you get that breakthrough. But like I said, this was a key level. As you can see, it actually bottomed off of it 3 times. And once you saw this kind of coming up towards VWAP, this was probably a pretty obvious move, which is why it was a quick move. Because, you know, basically like a triple top, triple bottom, obviously failed. And so you got that quick move, you know, it went up pretty far. But like I said, these are 50-50 moves up here. It was a quick move up, so the odds are it was a little bit weaker. As you can see, there wasn't really volume to suffice the move either. Now, if you had volume coming in that were like the beginning of the day candles at this point, this thing's going high a day, and it's probably going to go high a day and keep going. Inverse cup and handle on AMD. Inverse cup and handle? Are you talking about over here? I mean, because this is like a cup and handle. Are you talking here, like in this move? Because I wouldn't consider this a cup and handle. I don't really like looking at those types of patterns. I mean, if anything, you could almost look at it as like a, look at this big head and shoulders. But then she went down. She actually finished like crap. Look at that. That's a crazy move down. And Jonathan, thank you, by the way. Not getting the shots out tonight, but this is actually my 3rd one tonight, so I kind of accomplished the same goal. And they were pretty quick. They've all been within the last 2 hours. I love these things. They're so good. Shock Top, if you want to sponsor me, let's talk. Small account is just setting people up for failure. I am in a peculiar situation. Again, super transparent, obviously, always have been. I started with $5,000. As you can see, it says it somewhere. Here it is. So I started with $5,000. My very first deposit onto SureTrader was $5,000. When I originally cashed out of SureTrader, I was actually up like $200, like $5,200. But that wasn't accounting for the back end fees. At that time, I was using Trade Ideas. At that time, I had a couple other things that I was, paying for. No chat rooms. What was it? It was called Bookmap. It was just something that is actually very beneficial but very expensive, and I paid for like 3 months of that, and it was costly. So what you even see here is not the total amount that I'm actually down, because without the MTSI trade, I was actually finally back above break even on without fees and commissions and stuff. But this is just in commissions right here. Here's the commissions. So I've paid, just since August, I've paid over almost $2,100 in commissions, and that's not including, I think it was like $800 for the Trade Ideas. It was like $700 for the Bookmap. Like it's expensive. So a lot of people, even if you're not using the scanners, and right now the scanners, obviously I'm paying the same amount that you guys would be paying. I get the same pricing. Obviously, there's affiliation there as well. So obviously there'd be some monetary value if you guys were to sign up, and it would make my cost a little bit lower. But I'm not getting them for free. So those costs are all there that a lot of people don't take into account. And so when you start with $5,000 and you see that this is still the original $5,000 that I'm using, but I only have like $1,000 or whatever left. So every time I took off, because at one point I went from SureTrader to IB to try the whole pattern day trading thing, figured maybe it would help me, grow and not put too much capital at risk. I actually found out that being on PDT made it worse, because it almost kind of forces you to hold positions so that you're not using your trades all the time. And I actually came into 2 pretty big losers because of it, because I was trying to swing trade and all that crap, and I think I lost like $800 or $900 on IB, and I actually switched back to SureTrader. Now this isn't even including like the wire transfer fees and all that stuff that's included on going back and forth. But then when I went back to SureTrader, I was actually up, I don't know, it was like $400 or whatever. So when I came over to CMEG, I only brought 2 gram with me. And so every time I switched, I was paying myself, so to speak, just a little bit here and there. So what I'm left with now is not what is left as far as total capital, like after commissions and stuff, as far as trading goes. But yes, if you have a smaller account, it's so hard because you're basically set up to fail, because you're dealing with all these fees and commissions and stuff like that. But I will tell you, being down in the trenches like this, it really puts it into perspective. Anyone can jump in, with a $25,000 account, but if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to lose a $25,000 account. Me, on the other hand, I started with a $5,000 account. I'm in a peculiar situation because I'm a stay-at-home dad. I don't really have any other means of income, to really put more money in. So I do not play with scared money. I learned that you can't play with scared money through poker, and there's a lot of poker traits that relate very well to the trading world. So I'm not scared of losing the money, but the problem is if I do lose the money, there's that, hard place that I'm put in. Like, I'm going to have to paper trade. I'm going to have to find a way to keep paying for the scanners, because I'm not going to stop. I'm going to have to find a way to make that money, to get more money and, to further my future, because I don't want to blow up. But it's very rare that you find anybody that's made it in this world of trading that hasn't. And I don't want to be that person. I feel like I've taken 2 huge losses in OCX and MTSI, and even in the other day in TCS. And I don't want to think that I'm going to blow up, but it's always a possibility. I like to think that I've put enough rules in place, and I like to think that I have all the right tools to where we can really make this work with what we got. And that's the key, is if you can figure out how to make such a small account work, imagine if you're making just $50 a day consistently, that when you finally get to the point where you can start to scale up and make it $100 a day, and then $200 a day, and then $500 a day. Like even if you go 200 to 300 to 400 to 500, so forth like that, it's about consistency. So you need consistency. Okay, got that out. Let me catch up with you guys. Of course, he comes. Honestly, forgot he existed. The second and third after the spike initially. Okay, yeah, I see right here. I see. Okay, I got you. That makes a lot more sense. I watched 10 seconds of that dude's video and thought he was a fraud because of the screenshots, and he was ranting about someone saying it was fake. He must have meant you if you're... I must not have seen his recent video. But yeah, I mean, he'll show you those screenshots all day, but how hard is it to do this? Doot, trade, account report, boom. And we can see everything. How hard is that? But he won't do it. He just won't do it. It makes no sense to me. Just do it and prove to everyone that's calling you out that we're just lying and we're stupid and you're real and you're legit. I think he made one video where he showed like him actually depositing funds on a SureTrader because that's like his new broker or whatever. Okay, cool. You deposited funds. Anybody can do that, but it doesn't mean you're using them. And then the whole thing was we caught him in a lie. I actually had contacted the Guru Leaks guy on Twitter and showed him that SureTrader didn't have shorts available for a stock that he claimed that he shorted. And that was just a whole little fiasco in there. It was OPTT was the stock, and he claimed he made like $200 and some on it or whatever, and was showing you the chart and blah, 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 blah. But if he was using SureTrader, that he says he's exclusively using because that's what most of his students use, that so that when he trades, they can trade the same thing he's trading. But yet he comes back, his response was that he used a different broker, which is complete crap, because if you're using a different broker, then why it's still using DOS. He's using like the same platform to go over these trades every day. Obviously it's the same screenshots pretty much every day. Just a joke, but anyways. No worries, I was hoping you would sponsor me. I'll sponsor you. I'll come over to your house. Small account challenge is just setting people up for failure. No, I meant challenge. Sorry. I mean, yeah, it's the same difference though. I mean, it really is hard to trade with a small account, and I just showed you why. And yes, it is all about risk management. Like today, I mean, if you've noticed this week, I scaled it back a lot. Taking 75 shares instead of where I would normally take like 150. I pretty much cut everything in half. And I think VNet, I took 150 where I would normally take, 200, 300. IRWD, I think I only took 100. I would have probably taken 200 there. So all these numbers could have been pretty much doubled, but I'm really scaling back to get my consistency back and really hone in on not letting... I'm basically going to do this until I get a couple losers like TCS, like MTSI, and make sure that I'm cutting them according to the strategy correctly. Because in my MTSI trade, I did not follow my plan. I had so many opportunities to cut that way before it did, and I should have even been green on the trade from the very beginning. And I just got greedy, and then the greed led to me emotionally trading, and the whole reason was because I didn't follow the strategy. The scanner found MTSI, I pulled MTSI up, I got in the trade, I actually was in a great trade, should have exited the trade where I would have, I think I was up $100, so that would have been 2 times my quota of $50 a day, and that would have been it. But I ended up losing over $1,000 because I got greedy, wanting like a home run type play instead of just taking what the market gave me. I was looking for a key area to break. Not only did it not break, but it shot right up against me. And then I'm like, well, I can't get out now because, I'm thinking in my head, well, it just shot up. It's got to, at least come back down and retest this area. Just kept on going, never retested. And obviously the rest is history. You can watch last week's live stream for that. My biggest loss was on OCX. MTSI was really close. OCX was, what was that, a 1250, I think? Yeah, 1250. And I think that might have been after commissions. Yeah, look at this. Look at the commissions on this. And this was all my fault. This was back when I was still on SureTrader, but it was like $75 because I ended up getting basically what would be a margin call, and then the overnight fees for holding it for like 3 or 4 days or something. It was something stupid. But yeah, this was by far my biggest overall loss. So it was $12.50 just from the trade, and then if you add all this up, it was another, what is this, like $170-ish just in commissions. So that's closer to 14 something. And yes, you can be 50% correct and still be it's very true. One of the guys I trade with on a daily basis, that's not part of ISW, he's definitely better than 50%, but he's so good at finding those support levels and getting in, and he loves to just ride winners, but he will not let a stock go more than like 5 cents against him. Like he gets in, sets that support level, he gets in as close as he can to that support level, and if it goes under that support level, he's out, cuts it, and just doesn't think twice about it. But if it starts going up, he rides it, so it's 5-10 cent risk, but I mean, there's been times, he'll get a whole point out of it, so he doesn't have like a set profit target. It'll be based off the chart, but I mean, he does really well with that, and that just goes to show you that you can do it that way. I do not have a yearly goal. My yearly goal right now is to, I guess, just be consistent and try to eventually start scaling up a little bit once I am consistent. And I thought I was already there, but then I ran into MTSI, kind of ruined me for a little bit. And again, it wasn't anybody's fault but my own. It was all emotional on my end. Jonathan, I don't like to say it out loud. 1 second. And yes, I agree with what you just said on Discord. Sorry, just responding to him so I don't have to say it out loud. You can be fit. I have a bad habit of holding too long in hopes it will keep moving up and then it plunges. Yeah, a lot of people do, but as long as you can cut it when you see that it's starting to plunge instead of selling it or covering at the bottom of the plunge or squeeze, that's the difference. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that, I broke my rules and lost. Yep. I won't have to use CMEG. No PDT. No PD. What do you mean? If you got 25 grand, power to you. You don't have to worry about that anyway. My biggest winner was, I can tell you the amount, $617. I don't necessarily remember, and that's the problem. This has always been my problem is, you'll see that my winners are not as big as my losers. And the biggest winner was back when I was trading stupid. Like the very first day I ever traded live, I lost like $1,300 or something. It was something stupid. But I was trading, like I said, I was trying to trade like Ross Cameron and didn't work. Where is it? 455. I'm actually surprised I made that much on something. Oh, NCTY. I remember this. This was a pre-market trade. I bought 500 shares. I just saw it doing the old curl pattern. It was like none of this was here. There was a high a day. It kind of touched it in pre-market. It was like after hours high a day. And it was kind of coming up like this. And I got in right over this key level that I was talking about earlier. And I mean, it just shot up. It just went nuts. And it was like right at 9 o'clock. So like right at 9 o'clock, I guess like all the Robinhood and all those people could start playing it. And I mean, people were just FOMOing the crap out of it. And I was taking money along the way. I got in at 640, took some at 692, and as you can see, it just kept going. Took another 125, half of what I had left at 805, and she just kept on going. And I actually think she went up near like 970 or something like that. But yeah, that was a pretty nutty trade. I remember that. And that just goes to show you that wasn't even a big share size for the amount that we were in, but that NCTY, everyone knows that's a low float. And that was more luck. I didn't know that I was in a low float. I mean, I knew it was a low float, but at the time, that's what I was playing. But I didn't know, what was really happening. It was just, crap PR, and it just went for a ride, and that was that. Just because it's boring trading alone. Well, I actually have a whole YouTube video about chat rooms, and just I don't recommend them. Not ones that you have to pay for anyways. The ISW room is actually just the team. It's an invite only type deal. So it's one of them. Why is this just making lines? What? Okay, there we go. That was weird. I wonder if I hit the page down button too many times. So our room is like a really tight knit family type group of people. So that's nice. And then obviously we have there's obviously a bunch of Discord channels, rooms that you could join as well. There's GDT has one. There's a couple other YouTubers that have one. I have one, but it's literally just me and two of my friends. So I don't want to get into that part of things because that's just not who I am. But if you are going to join one, I recommend kind of just finding free ones on Discord maybe to start, just to kind of see if that's really what you're looking for, because a lot of times it's really not. And a lot of the chat rooms out there aren't really full of like-minded individuals. They're full of I don't know, what's coming out of my mouth? But yeah, they're full of those types of animals. Tom, yeah, Tom has a good channel. He's a little bit all over the place. I love the guy. I remember finding him randomly right before he hit 1,000 subscribers. And I was a little confused at how I never had found him before, because he had like 800 subs at that point. And he had been on YouTube for about a year. I guess maybe the algorithm just kind of didn't let me find him. But yeah, it was just strange. But we kind of talk, play Rocket League together here and there. He's a great guy. Love his perspective. He kind of trades like I used to back in the day a little bit. Not I say back in the day, but it was just like 6-7 months ago. It's just really not my style anymore. But and now he's kind of jumping all over the place with options and futures and all that stuff, which isn't really my scene. I like to just focus on equities, and I like to really dive into something and get to know everything about it. And that's just what I do. I don't like to diversify. I like to master one thing. And if there's any piece of advice I can give to anybody that's just starting out, it's to find a strategy that is profitable, make it your own, and master that one strategy until you know exactly how to trade that strategy no matter what the market throws at you. And I'm still doing that with my strategy. Obviously with MTSI, that was something I had never dealt with before. So now that I have, I can learn from it and not let it happen again. And that's what this is all about. Everyone has to take their medicine and kind of move on, or pay tuition, whatever you want to call it. Welcome to the NYSE Bulls channel. Welcome, Bears and Bulls. I'm going to get your intro down. So next live stream, I can get that down. But yes, welcome, man. Appreciate you chiming in. While I seem to have the most viewers, which always seems to happen later in the night, I'm going to go ahead and make a little mini announcement that I'm actually making a video for tomorrow, but it's for the, let me just pull it up real quick. It's for the special occasion of, oops, wrong button. It's for the special occasion of us getting near that 200 subscriber mark. So it's going to be the same thing as when we hit 100 subs. We're going to be giving away a free week of the scanners. And just to pull that up, let me actually just do it this way. Dun, 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 dun. So there's actually 3 different packages per se. I wonder how many clicks it'll take me to get here. So to get just the scanners, the platinum, pretty much what you see, I'll bring it up just for a second just to show you. Pretty much what you see here, as well as there's a bunch of other things that you can't see. Where I am really bad at finding my cursor. There we go. So it comes with, you know, all these scans. There's ones I don't have up there, like high a day, red to green, low a day. Those are in there as well. I believe I have every single one of those up. The 2 chat rooms. There's headlines, earnings, the IPOs. You got, you know, obviously there's risk calculator, the actual learning center and stuff like that. The learning center and the chat, however, are not part of the, clicking the wrong button, are not part of these 2. These 2 are just the scanners. And so for all of the scanners, you would get this, let's see if we click on this, all of everything I just showed you. But if you wanted to get just, I was seeing if it had a picture. Okay, so here it is. So if you wanted just the elite, it's basically the top scanners that you would need. So it has both of the i3 scans, the gap up, gap down, and it has the tops list, which is everything that you need. It's the essentials. And really all I use throughout the day is, sometimes I'll use the Bear Scan watch list, which is obviously part of the platinum, but the i3, just the i3 scan, that's really the only thing I use throughout the day. Just waiting for that thing to buzz in my ear and kind of tell me, hey, let's go. But the giveaway that we're doing is for what would be the invite only, which I think he has it listed on here. Let's see. I know. Oh, here it is. So it's basically our team. You get the access to the learning center. You get access to the 2 chat rooms. Basically, one is just a lounge where we kind of talk and just kind of talk about everything from life to trading to just, you know, how to become better. You know, we kind of nitpick at each other as far as, you know, how to improve each other. Like I said, we're kind of like a family at this point where we're nonstop trying to make each other better. When we have a bad trade, we like to go over it as a group, try to figure out, you know, what went wrong, how can we make it better. Very good constructive criticism as far as that goes. We also love to have fun too. Lots of GIFs and memes and all that good stuff. And then one of the other big things is you get access to the learning center. Let's see if I can show you that without giving away anything crazy. Yep, let me just pull this over. Who changed my password? There we go. So bringing this back over real quick. I'm on the right screen, right? Okay, good. We have the Learning Center here. And in the Learning Center, guys, it's full of a bunch of articles that Brian has really come over. And then there's just guides on every strategy, you know, that the scanners kind of promote that you use. There's the hangovers I was telling you, the high intensity parabolic moves, which is what I like to do. There's a bunch of videos as far as meetings that he has had as well. There's, you know, emotional controls, how to, you know, cut your losses, showing you the long trade and the short trades, showing you pretty much what you should be looking for. Basically, when you get in here, you'd want to read all these articles and then do the guides. Just from top to bottom. You can be in there for days and go back and forth through it over and over again, because you're always going to want to get more and more out of it. But anyways, back to what I was getting at. What we're going to be doing is at 200 subs, we're going to go ahead and the video will come out tomorrow. Basically just going to ask for you to comment, tell me why you think you deserve a free week. You'll get access to everything, kind of see what being part of the team would be like. If in that week, you feel like this could be for you, if we like you, that's really the big part of doing these sometimes, is really to get people in there that are very interested and possibly want to be part of the team, to really see if you fit in with the team. Money is very second nature to Brian, the guy who runs this. He does not want you in the room if he doesn't want you in the room, and we're all kind of the same way, All right. Sweet. Thanks for the subscription. But yeah, obviously I want you to be subscribed, and I think I'm going to ask that you follow me on Twitter too, which is two pretty normal things, right? I would assume most people already do, but I do know that I have less followers on Twitter than I do on here, which is fine. But to be part of this, I'll probably ask for both, but that'll be in the video for tomorrow. Like I said, you'll get access to the 2 chat rooms, the Learning Center, for a full week. And that's just going to be my way of kind of giving back, because I can't imagine my life without the scanners at this point. They're really a huge part of my trading. As much as some people don't like the scanner life, I can't imagine trading without them. So this is my way of kind of giving back to my subscribers, and appreciate all the support. And I know it scared me. The donation one was even a little bit more than that. But yeah, that's my little mini announcement to you guys that are here, that get to hear it before everybody else. And I did not know that this was still up. Let's see if I refresh. 181, 181. Oh. Yes, GDT and Avery also do use the scanner. I actually was talking to a potential client, I guess, as you could say, or customer. And, one of the things that I like to make everyone realize is that I'm not here to sell the scanners. I will gladly answer any questions about the scanners. I always show you in my videos that I'm using the scanners to find my trades, because I'm telling you the truth. I'm showing you everything that I do on a daily basis to try to be as transparent as possible. And I don't like to think that I'm hard selling the scanners, but the scanners are what they are. They're a huge part of my trading. So if it comes off like I'm trying to sell them, it's, that's not my intention. My intention is to just show you how powerful that they actually are and how awesome they are. They give you the ideas. It's your job to execute those ideas. But yeah, I like to make sure that everyone knows that I am not that person. I'm not going to push anything on you or shove it down your throat. But yes, I'm not trying to imply that GDT and Avery do that. But as you'll notice, I don't necessarily put, a thing in the beginning of all my videos saying, hey, scanners. I love those guys. Hopefully they realize that I'm just messing with them. But I don't really necessarily have anything else to go over. This went way longer than I thought it would. 2 hours now, almost. Usually I've been trying to make these closer to an hour, especially because tomorrow I have to wake up with the kids. Not fun. They haven't been very good this week. As you can see, the 1-year-old actually kept me out of making some more money today. I was pretty salty about that Iova Open. Got in. What was he doing? Oh, he was grabbing the magnet off the fridge, and there was a bunch of papers behind it, and I didn't think he could reach them. but I was like kind of peeking around the corner and saw that he could reach it. So I got up real quick to stop him, and obviously I took it from him, and he started crying. So I was sitting there trying to console him, tell him he's fine, and then literally as I came back, it had already made this move, and it was like right in here. I was like, because I definitely, like, when I think I said it in my video today, there was that previous resistance here from the after hours yesterday, and she shot up, and I definitely would have got to add in up there. And this was 75 shares, so I would have added 75 shares here, would have looked for VWAP to take those 75 shares off, and then I would have been riding the other 75 down. So would have made more money, basically. That I think that was what, a $30-some trade. Easily would have been over 50, probably closer to like 70, 75. Because it also allows you, when you lock in that profit from getting the ad, it allows you to ride these shares out a little bit longer. So I probably wouldn't have put a hard stop in here at 15, just looking to bank as much profit as I could on those 75 shares. But since I already had locked in profit up here, I would have probably used like VWAP as my stop at any given point, like if it went over VWAP, which, as you can see, I probably would have ended up taking it somewhere in here once I realized she's kind of bottomed out, because she comes down, tries to come back up, and then comes down again and fails. And if for some reason I held through this and she came down and failed again, I definitely would have been out somewhere in here before she made this move. And if for some reason I didn't, definitely would have been out somewhere in here. Because obviously she didn't want to go any lower. Because I remember when I first got in, I was initially looking at yesterday's lows for a possible retest, just because we were looking for this to continue down and start this gap fill that we're in. But obviously she wasn't ready yet today, and I'm not in for sticking around all day. Yeah, I started at 9:30. I have 2 kids, 1 and 3, like one and a half to 3.5 ish at this point. Well, not really. It's like 3 and 2 months and 1 and 4 months. So actually we're still kind of early in the year. They were born in January and March. But yes, I deal with them on a daily basis, as I'm sure you can see in most of my videos. They're not super easy to trade around sometimes. That's why I literally wake up 6:30, sometimes 7, depending on when they are ready to get up every day, and I'm with them until about 9 o'clock. I'll sit here and kind of chit chat in the room or whatever, and kind of just pay attention to the market and just make sure nothing's making some crazy outlandish move. I'll have everything up, but I'm not actually sitting at my desk until usually around like 9:10, 9:15. Usually I'll sit down during GDT's pre-market stream. And then I explain to the oldest that, it's time, because he understands it now, it's time for me to work. And I actually have my lights in the living room set to dim completely at 10:30. And that's when I pretty much tell myself, okay, I'm done. So I sit down 9:10, 9:15, try to work obviously till about 10:30. Obviously, if I'm in a position, I'll work through that. But most of the time I'm not. I'm usually the volume's pretty, dumbed down by that point. And that's that. I really try to not let this take over my life during the day. So I try to do it and sometimes my videos fluctuate, because most of the times I'll try to do them during lunch when the oldest is eating and the little one is sleeping, because he's still taking naps. And that is when I try to do my videos. So usually that's when they come out. Sometimes, like if I finish early around like 10 o'clock and I'm happy with my trades, I'll just try to make my video then, and then I'll kind of slowly, walk back to the computer and do that, like upload and edit or whatever, as that's all going on. Well, it would have been the short button. It would be this short the bid button. But I made that mistake on TCS the other day. If you noticed, I added the word position in here, because I'm so used to hitting these 3 buttons, to where it goes off of the share size that's in the montage. But if you notice, the ones that down here I have position, But I totally forgot when I did the switch over, because I don't really long stocks. But when I switched over, I totally forgot that this was for the full position. So I was doing 100 share lots on TCS. So I had 300 shares and I went to take 100 off. So I went like this, I put 100 in and I hit this button, and it sold all 300 of my shares instead of 100, which actually ended up being a good thing because that was as high as it went the rest of the day for the most part. But it was just bad because it wasn't me following my plan and not knowing my buttons. And, again, that's another reason to you punishers, why you paper trade and get all that down before you really go live with an account. And if you've noticed too, sometimes like I'll use these buttons just to make sure I get into a trade if I really want in. But if I'm in just looking to get into a trade, a lot of times I'll hit these buttons too, because they're pretty much the same thing. But if you hit a limit order, like say for 1502, it'll put it up here as 1502. So you'll only get filled at 1502. Whereas if I hit it here by S plus 5, if for some reason it's moving really fast, it'll put it in at 1507, but it'll give me the best fill all the way down to that 1502 mark. Yeah, I've noticed that too. I think one of the more viewed videos was like, I think I made a trade and I was so happy with it. I think it was AEHR or whatever. I think it was like $100 even on the trade or something, and it was real early. It was like I was done by 9:40, and I just made the video right then and there, and so I could be done. And I actually took the kids to the park that day because it was warm out. It was still it was still winter, I think. I'm pretty sure it was around still winter. But it was really warm that day, so I decided to go outside. Because you know how it is when it starts to warm up, even though it's still cold outside, it feels warm because you're so used to being so cold, kind of thing. Do you guys have any questions? If not, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. But obviously, I would love to answer any questions you guys have. Always open to answering questions. I always tell everyone, I'm that guy that asks too many questions because I always want to know everything. But I'm also the guy that loves to answer questions because sometimes people will ask you a question that you don't know the answer to. And I am not the guy that's going to act like I know the answer. If I don't know the answer, I want to know the answer. So I'll look to find the answer with you. And that's one of the reasons I always ask for people to ask questions, because I want to know something that I don't know. And sometimes I don't even know to look for it. But if someone asks the question, then, hey, thank you. You just brought something up that I had no idea to look for. Like I said, I dive in, and I dive in hard. I go in with my hands right above my head, perfect form, right into the water. Yeah, I'm a little silly, getting a little delirious. The answer? What you talking about, Willis? What you talking about? I'm gonna pull something up real quick. Yeah, the vids won't stop. That's not, like I had told you the other day. It's just I enjoy making the videos, so I don't see myself going anywhere with that. Where is it? I'm trying to find it. Where'd it go? Of course, now I can't find it. There's a I don't know if you guys have seen this. There was a battle in New York. I'm assuming it's two deaf guys, and this was their way of communicating. There's a guy on the team. His name's Vic. We call him V, but he was fighting the stock KTOS. This was pretty recent. I made this for him. I thought it was so funny. reminds me of something you'd find on what's that Instagram channel? Oh, that's not on it. I guess I can pull that back over here. What's the trading memes? I don't know if you guys have ever if you guys get on Instagram. I just use this to try to create some traffic for the channel, but let's see, can I click? There we go. If you ever get some time, go find these guys on Instagram. Some, I mean, you can kind of lose yourself, but I'll go find the funniest one real quick. This one just gets me every time. I can never not laugh. I mean, they all kind of make me laugh, but this one really gets me laughing. I probably already scrolled right by it. He posts, oh no, here it is. Hopefully this isn't too loud. Let me see if I can make it a little, because it's probably really loud. Turn it, where's Chrome? There we go. See if this I always laugh the one in the maroon. That's what I like to call cutting your losses. You know, you see the margin call coming. Speaking of Brian, there he is. The man, the myth, the legend. He's a Cali boy, so he's always late. Thinks he has more important things to do. This was actually a stream all about you, Brian, for the most part. So you should be happy. Yeah, I haven't received any of that. I use the desktop version, so maybe that's why. I've found that the desktop version of Instagram doesn't exactly correlate a lot of the mobile version. But yeah. If anybody has any in-depth scanner questions that I might not be able to answer, like formula questions or something, this would be the guy to ask. Sometimes, you know, he wrote the formulas, and I don't even think he knows the answers sometimes, but not a martini, Brian, but, you know, I'm also eating ramen, so there's that too. I will give last call. I wonder if Jonathan's still here. Give last call for any good questions. Yeah, hot dog. You know, you guys keep acting like hot dogs are like some cheap thing, but man, I grew up on hot dogs. Those things are, I love hot dogs. Throw some Bush's beans in there. Now, ramen, on the other hand, I don't know. I used to eat the crap out of ramen, but I prefer a cup of noodles over ramen any day. Something about ramen that just, I don't know, it's a little too salty for me, I think. Due to what? The hot dogs and beans or the cup of noodles? I figured I'd just sit here and make a funny face. No, no, ew. 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 Who do you think I am? Ah, savagery. Beans and ramen. Oh. Ah. That's. Oh. 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 What'd you do tonight, Brian? What'd you eat? Anything good? Besides your classic martini on the golf course picture? Which you should get another picture. You kind of rotate them on Fridays. See the same one every Friday. Carnitas. Like me some carnitas. I'm more of just a chicken guy. I mean, just put some chicken in front of me. Some nice juicy chicken. Uh, I mean, marinated, sure. Doesn't have to be. I love chicken. I don't know what it is. Some people love steak, all that good, I love pork, pulled pork. I love making my own pulled pork. Same table, same view. Yeah, but that's the same picture. Take a new picture, different angle, maybe with you holding it up. I know we'll never see that one, but take one in person. Uh, Beyond Meat. Let me tell you something about them. This is not advice. This is, as GDT would say, just for fun. Let me load up. Let's see, 50,000. We'll just take market short. Holy crap. This thing opened at 46. Look at where it's trading. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember hearing correctly, their earnings are coming up. Let's see. Earnings report date. Where's it at? They didn't already have earnings, I don't think. I know, didn't Uber just have their earnings? I think they took a hit. I could have swore I heard that their earnings were coming up. That doesn't say. Beyond Meat is worth 21 billion. That was 2 days ago. I mean, it's so overextended. I mean, this is nuts. And it wasn't even like some straight up move either. Like, she had a pullback and she just kept on going. I mean, just nuts. It's definitely a long term play to me, which is what I don't do. So I wouldn't be playing this. But I'm thinking you're gonna get one of these pretty, like one of these, but a little bit bigger. I think she's probably come down, at least test that 200 moving average again, which doesn't really make sense because it's a new IPO. But I don't know. How do you basically double from where you opened? And I guess it can, but it's not like, a Tilray or something like that where it's a super low float. Just nuts. I don't like to necessarily give too much thought into big companies because, I mean, I'm just the opposite on Tesla right now. Like, I'm thinking, I mean, she's in La La Land right now. Like, let's draw a line at where she's currently at. This 210 area. What was the low today? 208.92. So we'll just get it somewhere in the ballpark. But look left. I mean, she's kind of at a key support level maybe here that you saw back in October, November of 2016. I mean, you have lows down here. Why is it? Is it because I hit it twice? I don't know. Like in the 179 area. I mean, are you trying to tell me that like the leading electric car company that is probably going to basically change the world, who's coming out with, new stuff, and this all started based on them trying to improve their profit margins for the investors, essentially, like by cutting down the storefronts, because the storefronts weren't really anything but, just a showroom that you couldn't even buy from. Like you basically bought online and you could just go in the showrooms. Like you can go in there and see the cars they got there, but they're just like, they're not for sale. Like you would just go in there just to look at them. And then you would have to go order online. So since a lot of people were just ordering online anyway, why not just get rid of the storefronts that are costing you lots of money? But, you know, obviously Elon Musk has a bad rep as well, which is causing a lot of this. But, I mean, I can't really, I mean, this is a crazy point for, I mean, look at all the volume that is up in this area. I really do think that they'll get bailed out if they're, you know, long-term investors. But, I mean, imagine people that are in up over 300 and you could be buying it right now close to 200. It's nuts. Yeah, I'm going to call it too. Brian, thanks for stopping in. Everybody else, thanks for stopping in. Stay tuned tomorrow. The video about the giveaway for the 200 sub giveaway for the Scanners for a Week. That'll be coming out probably tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. Keep an eye out for that. Obviously, all the details will be in there for that. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, just do it. I mean, what are you waiting for? I mean, I'm a nice guy, right? I think. I mean, I could be a DIK at sometimes, but I like to think that, you know, my blunt and honest truth is what everyone needs in this world. You know, you don't need someone else selling you crap. I did have a longer beard. I trimmed it just for you guys. Actually haven't shaved this week, as you can tell. But, yeah, that's that. I will catch you guys. It was a long stream. Thanks for tuning in. I don't know how to do. I need a stream deck board thingy-majigger like GDT has, because I think he just hits one button and it does his cool little outro. I don't have an outro. I do, but it's for my videos, not for the stream. All that good stuff. I will talk to you guys tomorrow if you want to watch my videos. If not, I'll talk to you on Monday. Let me get it ready. Peace.